Now our correspondents, analysts, and commentators. Shan Wu, I'll start with you. We all just heard Robert Costello walk through what he told the grand jury about Michael Cohen and how much of an impact do you believe a witness like this can wind up having?
Judging from what we're seeing, I don't think he would have much impact at all. I mean, there's nothing he's saying would undercut Cohen's credibility. And I have to say, Wolf, I'm very confused why he is in there testifying about someone that at the very least he gave legal advice to. I mean, there are at least two ethical rules that really would prohibit that. And as far as the DA's office getting a letter that says Cohen waived, I mean, why wouldn't they be asking Cohen? Why would they take it on his representation? That's a very serious matter, waiving attorney-client privilege. It usually needs to be highly documented and specific.
Yeah, he was making the point when he came out from his testimony that Cohen was a liar. You can't believe a word he's saying, basically, and he was telling the truth. That was his argument.
Right, and that's extremely contrary to his former client's interests, which in and of itself tends to violate some ethics rules like 1.9 in New York. You can't use information you gain in confidence against your former client. So that is just very troubling that that's all going on. But again, based on what he is saying, it really doesn't say anything about Cohen's credibility. It just sounds like he was very upset at the time.
Gloria Costello, this attorney, told reporters after his testimony that he brought lots of documents, including memos and emails, that the grand jury had not yet seen. How effective might that prove to be?
Well, we don't know. We know that they didn't call Michael Cohen today as a rebuttal witness. So I'm not an attorney here. We have attorneys on the panel. They can tell you what that means. If they felt they need a rebuttal, they might have had one. I think one of the issues here that Costello is going to talk about, or talked about, is that Michael Cohen is doing this out of pure revenge, that his goal in life is to get Donald Trump. Don't forget, Michael Cohen went to jail, and he says as a result of his relationship and direction from Donald Trump. And, Costello's point is that he blamed Trump for all of this and wants to get back at him. So I don't know what's in those documents and what's in those emails. We'll have to see, and we'll have to see if it materially affects this in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, let me get Adam Kinzinger into this assessment as well. Adam, Donald Trump's legal team is clearly hoping Costello will undercut Cohen's testimony. Cohen, as we've mentioned, does have some credibility issues. Could this work in Trump's favor?
I mean, it's possible. I do think one of the most powerful pieces of evidence, though, that this may not have the impact they were hoping is simply the fact that, Cohen was not called back in. He was on standby. I think if there'd have been some things that were cutting, they probably would have had Cohen come in and at least try to refute that. And keep in mind, too, when it comes to a grand jury, it's not very common, as far as I understand, for a grand jury that's been presented a lot of evidence to not come forward and not indict. So I think an indictment seems fairly likely at this point, and we'll just have to see what's in that. There's a lot of Republicans jumping the gun right now, and I think read the indictment, read what's in it, and it appears that may be coming soon.
So where's this heading, Paula?
If only I knew, Wolf. What we don't know right now is whether this was the last time the grand jury will hear any witnesses. But look, we're looking to see, is there anyone else that they are going to hear from? And then when will they vote on a possible indictment? If the former president is indicted, then his legal team would need to negotiate a surrender and an initial appearance. And obviously, this is not like every other case. There are some really extraordinary factors here. It's the former leader of the free world, U.S. Secret Service protection. The security and logistical concerns are truly unprecedented. But that would take place only after an indictment. It would be something that they would negotiate. But his attorneys have all told me that he absolutely plans to cooperate and surrender if he is indicted.
Adam, all this comes as Trump is publicly urging his supporters to protest if he's arrested this week. And he's using language that clearly echoes what we heard leading up to the January 6th insurrection. How worried are you about potential violence?
Well, I am worried. I don't know if it's going to be as wide scale as, for instance, on January 6th, because you're seeing a lot of these, I hate this term, but a lot of these influencers out there on the far right that are saying, and they know better, by the way, but they're saying this is a Fed trap. Don't go protest because the Feds are going to get you. When the truth is they know what January 6th was. They know how it was, and they know what a similar thing right now would do to Donald Trump's credibility. But keep in mind, if only 2% of the MAGA base says, we're going to protest, we're going to do something, that's millions of people. So law enforcement is right to be concerned. Let's just hope and pray that, justice is done and we don't see violence in that process.
Let's hope, Art. Everybody stand by. Up next, the Republican